This model allows you to, let's say, just work with 200 people at $5,000, right? And then that's a whole different, that's a game changer right there, right?
Absolutely.
Because now you're working with less people and you're actually able to provide
200
more.
people at $5,000. Isn't that $1 million? That's
Yeah.
$1 million business.
There you go.
There you go.
Boom. That's that easy. And literally, and think about, and breaking down the math, right? That's literally, you break down the math, that's literally about 20 clients per month, you know what I mean? To be able to get in, like, you could literally have $1 million business with just, like, getting 20 people a month into your business, right?
Wow.
And the beautiful thing is, again, you're providing transformational services. So typically...
Welcome to Black Wealth Weekly podcast, where you can find different guests being interviewed by me, Shaniqua Nicole, the Millennial Money Maven, every single week, where we will be breaking down how they got into their respective industries and are creating wealth for their families. You don't want to miss an episode, so hit the bell and tune in. What's up, guys? It's Shaniqua Nicole, the Millennial Money Maven, Editor-in-Chief of Black Wealth Weekly magazine, and your host of this week's podcast, Black Wealth Weekly. I have my brother, King Mitch, Michel Valbrun, with me today. King Mitch, please tell the people who you are.
Yes, y'all. My name is Michel Valbrun, a.k.a. Money Makin Mich, certified public accountant, tax strategist, award-winning author, and yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Out here,
rapper, you know what I'm saying?
Rapper slash accountant.
Rapper, accountant, all the things, yep.
I love it, I love it, I love it. So Michel is a CPA and a tax strategist, and he's out here helping people save the bag, right?
Yep.
Right, so I know a lot of people are building businesses through this pandemic, and his entire job is to help you not pay the IRS so much money. So we're going to get into some tax bars in a little bit, but tell us how you got your start. Like, what made you go into accounting? Because what I do know is that there's like 1% of black accountants in this country.
Yeah.
So you are a part of the elite.
Yes.
Tell us what made you go into this business.
Yeah, that's a great statistic. Yeah, literally less than 1% of CPAs are black, and yeah, it's a very, very rare thing to get into accounting. But yeah, my story is interesting. So I'm originally from South Florida.
Okay.
My parents came from Haiti to the United States literally to give my sisters and I the opportunity to be able to live the American dream, right? And through that experience, I had some interesting things that happened, right? So one situation I remember vividly when I was 8 years old, I was waiting for my mom to get home. I'm a mama's boy, and I grew up with my two sisters, and I was just waiting for my mom to get home. And she gets home late at night. She's actually coming from Little Haiti, South Florida, right? So I'm waiting for her to get home, whatever the case is. She pulls up and she opens the door. I'm running to the door, opens the door, whatever the case is, and the door opens slowly. And I'm just like, okay, this is different. You feel me? So I'm looking at her, and I'm little at this time, right? So I'm looking, kind of going up like this, and I look at her face, and she has like this like look of like just shock. And I look to the right of her, and I see a gun pointing at her head. I'm just like, what is going on? This is crazy.
Wow.
So in that moment, I'm just like confused. I'm young. I'm just seeing all this stuff play out.
Wow.
And I hear the guy that's behind her. I've never seen this man before. He's like, "Dizi ka so couché à terre," right? Which means tell the boy to get on the floor in Creole. It's Haitian, man, right? So my mom tells it back to me in English. I'm like shaking. I'm like on the balls of my feet. I'm walking backwards. Lay down on the floor. The floor is cold. You know what I mean? We'd have rugs or whatever. It's like, so it was a cold floor. And more people start coming in. They start pulling people out of the rooms. My sisters were there. My grandma was visiting from Haiti. I had an uncle was visiting from Haiti. My aunt was there. So literally, my whole family just laid out. Right? So they're asking my mom, where's the money? Where's the money? Right? They happen to figure out or find out that my dad actually kept some money in a shoebox. He kept a whole bunch of cash in a shoebox. Whatever the case is, my mom shows them where it's at. They take it, they run off with it. So fortunately, we were all safe. None of us got hurt, injured, whatever the case was, right? Super traumatizing, right? But on top of that, I realized that my dad had the shoebox of money because he didn't want to pay taxes. So he was doing what's called tax evasion, right? So he was trying to underreport his income, keep it in the shoebox. He thought he could finesse the government or whatever the case is So he kept it in shoe boxes. And because of that, they ended up finding out, of course, right? End up finding out, he ends up getting arrested, then ultimately gets kicked out the country, right? All this happened before, like, I'm 10 years old, right?
Oh, my gosh.
So now, it's just my mom raising me and my two sisters by herself, right? Just trying to figure it out.
Right.
And he was basically the breadwinner in the relationship.
Right.
So, with that, I learned some valuable lessons through that experience, right? One, I realized that, whenever I grew up, I wanted to make sure I did things legally and ethically because I saw the impact that it had on my family. I saw how my dad got locked up, kicked out the country, and the way it played out with our lives. And then also, too, it also told me, like, whenever I grew up, I wanted to also educate people and show them, like, how to do things legally and ethically, how you could save money and taxes legally and ethically, how you could make money legally and ethically, right, instead of having to rob people.
And not have to put your family in harm's way because you're hoarding cash in the mattress.
Right. Crazy.
So your dad was running from the government and the streets.
Right.
What a place to be.
Yeah.
Man, that was stressful.
Crazy. Yeah.
Stressful time.
It was crazy, but, through that experience, like I said, fortunately, it inspired me I still wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? Because I understood that, entrepreneurs.
So he was an entrepreneur.
He was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Right? And coincidentally, he actually owned a tax business, which is a little crazy, right? That he's going to do something like that. But that was the reality of the situation, right?
Yeah.
I guess because he felt like, again, I guess he was just too confident in what he thought he knew, whatever the case was.
Right.
So fast forwarding, whatever the case is, end up going to school. Ended up going to school for accounting. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and one of my professors told me, like, yo, if you understand accounting, that's the language of business. You'll be able to understand. You'll be able to have basically recession-proof money. Like, you always have a job. You never have to worry about money again. I was like, bet. You know what I'm saying? I wanted that security.
Let's do that.
You feel me? So I ended up going to school for accounting. Ended up getting a master's in there as well. Became a CPA. Ended up working for one of the largest accounting firms in the world. And that's kind of how, things started off with that.
Gotcha. So why didn't you stay at the largest accounting firm in the world?
Yeah.
Sounds like, you had the dream. You went to college, you got your CPA, you were living your dream life and your dream job.
Right.
What made you change things up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's crazy because I literally checked all the boxes. So when I was in school, they're like, yo, in order to be successful, you need to become a CPA. Boom, did that. You need to work for this company. Boom, did that.
Right.
Checked all the boxes or whatever the case is. But I did it, and I guess it's just my entrepreneurial instinct. It kind of kicked back in. I was just like, is this it? Mm-hmm. Like, I just felt like, I was like, is this going to be my life? Like, literally, like, all I had to do was just show up to work and then basically be on the trajectory to move up to partner, whatever the case was.
Right.
So
talk about that. Like, let's take a step back, slow down a little bit.
For sure.
If people are going to college, going the CPA route, what does a successful career look like if you want to be a, corporate accountant, I guess?
Yeah, basically, so there's a couple things that you could do to check off the box, right? So obviously going to school and going to college is going to be that first step, right? So you have to, in order to, if you want to become a CPA, which is basically the creme de la creme of like the accounting profession, then you're going to have to get a bachelor's and a master's. Depending on, in most states, you're required to do 150 credit hours, right? So huge requirement in order to do that. You then become a CPA, certified public accountant. You have to pass a 4-part exam, which has a less than 50% passing rate. So you do that, and then you could work. Then really the goal, what a lot of people end up doing is working at what's called one of the big 4 accounting firms, right? That's going to be your Ernst & Young, which is where I worked at. You have Deloitte, you have KPMG, you have PwC, right? These are the big 4 accounting firms in the world, right? Not just the country, like globally. Like literally any Fortune 5, they literally work with 99% of the Fortune 500 companies. They work with everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And the government, too.
And the government, too.
Yeah, we got big government contracts.
Yeah. Yeah. High net worth individuals, everything under the sun. Like, these people are working with the Googles, Yahoos, Facebook. So when you get it, everything. So when you get into these companies, it puts you in position to literally work, be able to be exposed to like what the biggest companies in the world are doing, right?
Right.
So you get that amazing experience, and then you could do that for, typically they say, you want to make sure you get promoted to senior, which is like the second level from staff. I was able to do that, and then basically from there, you could pretty much work anywhere.
Gotcha.
You know, from that, just getting those 2 to 3 years under your belt.
Gotcha. So right out of college or right out of your CPA program, what does it look like income-wise for you when you go into one of these big four?
Yeah, typically back in my day, you know, I feel like a young OG
Not
now.
back in my
back in my day. You know, they were paying us between 50 and 70K.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Which was decent. It wasn't the highest paying job that you can get.
Yeah.
But it was really there for that experience. Like you get that on your resume, your resume is
you can
your
go work
all-star.
anywhere.
You can work anywhere
Absolutely.
because the level of requirements and the interview process and a whole bunch of things, like you can't just apply, right? It's not, they typically only recruit college students, right? That's the majority of their pool because college students, they're hungry, they want to learn.
They can pay them cheap.
They can pay them.
Because 50 to 70,000 is cheap.
Right, yeah. They could pay them what they want to pay them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it, and they're fresh because they're coming with new information, whatever
Right.
the case
But
is.
so what's the opportunity look like if you do stay on that path?
Yeah, so typically they have different levels, right? So you have the senior level, right, which is you can typically make between 70 plus on that. Then you have manager, that's when you're making over 100K. Then nextly you have a senior manager, and then next level is the creme de la creme, the partner level, where you pretty much have a partnership within the organization. You're able to take equity and all that kind of stuff, right? So you can, on average, according to I think the Big Four accounting firm website, the partners typically you can make $400,000 on average. Now some partners, depending on, a lot of it's based on luck too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit entrepreneurial as well, right?
Yeah.
But on average, you can make $400,000. Some partners make a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Some partners make less, but on average, you make about $400,000. But it takes you 10 to 15 years to get to that $400,000.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
And
So that's
you wasn't.
listen. I was just like, that's like a lot of people talk about like, I hate get rich quick or whatever
Right.
the case was, but
Who
I
want to
wanted
get rich slow?
But yeah, but I didn't want to get rich slow either. You know what I
Right.
mean? I didn't want to wait for the 10, 15 years because you're still working for someone. The hours that you work, you could be working 50 to 60 hours during busy season.
And were you consulting and traveling, or you were?
Yeah,
so it's a lot. So I've worked in the
draining.
consulting space too.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. Like you have to travel. And you're working for different clients.
Yeah.
So not only do you have a job with EY, with your company, but then you have the requirements of your customers and your clients and your travel and their needs and their goals. So yeah, it's a lot. So you ain't want to wait your 15 years.
I couldn't wait for my 15 years, and I really just wanted to own something of my own, right? Because I knew if I own it, then I basically have control over more of my time, how much money I can make, and yeah, it's literally probably the best decision that I made. But I don't regret doing that because it gave me the experience and everything that I needed to do it. So yeah. Cool.
So now you're an entrepreneur accountant.
Yes.
What I do know is that professionals, what I find when I work with professionals is that, they go to school for all this time. They learn their profession in and out, superstars, rock stars at what they do, but they lack the business knowledge. So how was that transition for you when you went from, this super smart guy with your CPA, passing all the tests, to now having the finesse of an entrepreneur, business owner, and now you have to sell and get clients of your own? Like, what was that transition like for you?
Ooh, not easy. Not easy. So this is interesting, right? So you think about college and universities, right? You have medical professionals, you have accountants, you have engineers, right? And they teach you all this amazing information on how to do the work, right? They tell you, hey, with accounting, you could do bookkeeping, balance sheet, income statement. They tell you all the things, debits, credits, all these amazing things, right? They tell you how to work with clients, but they don't tell you how to get clients.
Right.
Like literally the most important part, right? So, especially, and you can appreciate this as an accountant. Accountants, like the top line of the income statement is sales and income, right? But they don't teach you how to make sales and income. They teach you how to do all the work, but not tell you how to make sales and income. Right? It's really there to prepare you. From my experience, it was really there to prepare you to work in corporate America. And this is me going to the top university in the country when it comes to accounting and tax, right? I went to the University of Florida. Amazing school, great school. So it got me the technical knowledge that I needed, but didn't give me the entrepreneurial information I needed.
Right.
So it prepared me, and really, and it did, I'm not gonna lie, it did kind of make me forget a little bit about the entrepreneurial route, right? So for a short period, I was like really wanted to go that partner route. But then, like I said, once I got to, was in there for about 1 to 2 years, I was just like, this ain't it.
So it made you forget in what way?
Like it just kind of,
you were just too busy?
Not even, it just made me focus on working that, like I pretty much was so, just so much in the culture, ingrained in the culture, because they pretty much grew me to be a partner or whatever, because that's the goal. The goal is to get as many people to get to that route, and if you work those many years, then they make the ROI back and all that kind of stuff, because they invest a lot in you. They invest a lot in training. You're going to conferences, seminars. They spend a lot of money. They spend a lot on recruitment, restaurants, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Wine and dine you.
Yep.
So in order to get their ROI back,
the golden handcuffs is what they call it.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? They pay for you to take the CPA exam. They pay for you for the study material, all the things. So for a moment I kind of forgot, but the transition was, so I was doing some volunteer tax work. So I volunteered for this organization called VITA. So basically you could do taxes for free for lower income individuals. So I'm going through the process, learning more about taxes, how to do taxes. I'm doing it, and I come across this couple, did their tax return, cool, and they end up owing some money. And then at the end of that process, the husband turns to me, he's just like, well, I see we owe some money, like how can I save money on taxes next year? I froze. Like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to tell him. Like with all this amazing experience I had, I didn't have the knowledge, right? So I really felt like I was embarrassed, you know what I mean? I felt like a failure as an advisor. As a tax professional, they're looking at me, even though they didn't pay me any money, but they're looking at me to have those answers. I didn't know. Like, I just know how to, data entry, right? I know how to put the numbers in, and then go ahead and give them the tax return. So I didn't know how to proactively save money on taxes. I was like, yo, I need to go ahead and do some outside education outside of school, right? A lot of people go into school and they think that's all I need. Nah, for me, I realized in that moment, I was like, school's not enough. I need to go do some outside research. So I started reading. I got heavy into personal development, mentorship, all these different things. Came across the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Phenomenal book talking about entrepreneurship, finances, and came across this concept of the cash flow quadrant, right? Cash flow quadrant is talking about the 4 ways you can make income. You can make money as an employee, self-employed individual, business owner, investor. And I realized that the people on the right side of the quadrant, right, business owners and investors, they're the ones who are making the most wealth in the country, but they also pay the least amount of money in taxes. And I was like, ooh, okay. Let me look into this, right? So I started doing more and more research, and then really started, became obsessed with learning about different tax strategies and different ways that the wealthy pay less money in taxes. And I literally opened up my eyes and my world to, this world of, tax savings and tax strategies.
And rich people,
yeah. And how rich people literally use the tax code to build wealth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of how I got into it. And then, again, just trying to understand this entrepreneurial thing. So tapping into different resources, because, when I keep going to say back in my day, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like a young OG, because when I was getting into it, there wasn't really any programs or anyone that looked like me, you know what I'm saying, that was out here teaching people how they created their accounting and tax business.
Right.
So I literally had to, again, spend a whole bunch of time investing in courses and books and putting it all together, and then slowly but surely I started figuring it out.
Gotcha.
And had to shift my mind. It was a big mindset shift too, because I had to literally realize that in order to have a successful business and a successful firm, I had to really learn about marketing and sales, which most accountants struggle with, right? A lot of us get into it, myself included. We get into it because we don't want to do sales and marketing, right? We have this negative perception of what sales looks like. We think about the car salesman. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to be behind the scenes, go ahead, run these numbers, do the work, and that's it. And it literally took me out of my shell to really understand, yo, this is, if I want to basically make money, be successful, I need to understand this.
Like you said, sales is the top line of your financial statement. So you got to figure that part out.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah.
Yes, no. Okay, so you started figuring out that you needed sales.
Yes.
Where did you go to learn how you get more sales?
Yeah, so it came through, again, a whole bunch of different programs and experiences, but so when I was in college, right, I was also paying my way through college as well. And I was working at Office Depot. Got a job at Office Depot, and just as a way to make additional income. And they had me on the floor, the sales floor. Basically, well, they call it tech, but it was really sales.
Yeah.
And I learned they had some sales training, whatever. It wasn't anything super sophisticated, but some basic sales training. And I realized and I understood like how sales are done. So basically, one of the things that I noticed is that when someone comes into the store, they have us ask them like, "Hey, welcome to Office Depot. What brings you in today?" Essentially, right? Along those lines, a type of question like that.
Right.
And what I realized is that question opens up the conversation to be able to sell someone, right? So if someone comes in there, right? Let's say you have two different people that come in, right? They both need a television. You have a construction worker that's coming into the store. They want a television. You got a college student who wants a television to play video games, right? Two different needs, right? So it's two different ways that you're going to have that conversation. So by asking them, why do you need this television? Then once they tell you what they need, then you're able to go ahead and tell them exactly, basically tell them what they, let them know what you have that fits and checks all those boxes, right? So if the construction worker's like, I need a TV to go ahead and put on my wall so I can go ahead and look up blueprints easier, and I don't need anything fancy. I don't need the Wi-Fi. I don't need all the, gadgets or whatever. I just need to be that. This is what we got right here.
Right.
If you're talking to the college student who wants to play television, wants to play Fortnite or whatever the case is, Grand Theft Auto, whatever, you know what I'm saying? These what are these kids doing these days? Then it's a different conversation. Like, yeah, well, this one has the best Wi-Fi. This one's going to be able to connect to your Bluetooth headphones, so you can go ahead and be able to yell at people on the whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying? So like so basically catering to them. So that was a really, really big lesson for me to understand sales and how that works.
Yeah. And understanding what people's needs are.
Exactly.
And then meeting them where they at.
Exactly, because what we do a lot of times as accountants, right, we tell people, I call it throw up, right? Basically, we throw up and tell them everything we can do. I could do your taxes. I could do your business credit. I could do your accounting. I could do your bookkeeping, blah, blah, blah. And like, hold on. I don't need all that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't need all that. I need to understand how to save money in taxes.
Right.
I need my financials done so I can go ahead and get approved for this loan for this home.
Yep.
Like understanding that is going to be key. So really having a conversation and listen, just being a good listener and hearing what people need, and then being able to say, okay, tailor your services to what their needs are.
Gotcha. So right now, it sounds like you're teaching accountants. Like you're not talking to, so your accounting firm, you're more focused on working with other accountants.
Yes. So I have a mentorship. So I have my accounting firm.
Gotcha.
So take
two separate things.
Two separate things, right?
Take us there.
So I went ahead and built and developed my accounting firm, right?
Okay.
Super successful, super profitable firm, right? And was able to go ahead and figure out how I can do this, right? I basically made my name in tax planning, helping people save money on taxes. And then along the way, as I was growing this firm and I was learning different things, I was also helping out other accountants and tax professionals on the low. I wasn't talking about it publicly. It was just something I was doing because I wanted to see more people like us be able to be successful in this space, right? And I was able to, get it to a point where, 1 year I was able to do like $500,000 working part-time in the business, and then just continue to grow it, right? And realize that, again, a lot of people struggle with these things. So as I'm learning things, then I'm teaching other people, right, how you can make literally over $100,000 basically working part-time in this business and different strategies or whatever the case is. So now, I'm coaching other accounting and tax professionals on how they can do the same thing, right? How to get to that, what I call the elite level, right? There's different levels as it relates to this space, right? So when it comes to advisory, is really what we are as advisors.
Yeah.
That's another thing that we need to shift is like that we're actually advisors.
Yeah.
So there's different levels to this, right? So the first level is the executor. The executor is going to be that person who's doing tax returns, $100, $300. They're executing, doing a whole bunch of work, but making less than six figures, right?
Right.
That's the executor. Then you got someone what I call the executive, right? That's someone who's making between $100,000 to $250,000, right? They're probably working in middle management, a corporate job, maybe have the business on the side, maybe charging a little bit more, whatever the case is, but they're really not, you know what I'm saying? They're really they're doing okay. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? A lot of people say that their goal is to make six figures. Six figures is cool. 100,000 is cool, but until you make 100,000, you're like, yeah, that ain't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That ain't it.
Listen, I tell people all the time, the first 6 figures that you make in your business is not for you. It's for your mind. It's for your mind to
Yes.
believe that there's more and that you can
Yes.
make more. You know, because
Yeah.
really, if you want to have a business and you want to have employees, $100,000 is not going to pay your bills and theirs.
Right.
So the first 6 figures is for you to understand that you can literally open the door and create more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, mid-level executive, they're making their mid
Yeah.
6 figures, and then what's the
Yeah.
what's the elite level look like?
We're not even at.
Oh, we're not at elite yet.
We
Okay.
ain't elite yet.
Okay.
All right. So check this out. So we got the executive, and they're probably still working a full-time job. So
Yeah.
they're doing this business on the side.
That
whatever
was
the
me.
case is. Yeah.
That was me.
It's a lot of people on that
I ain't
level.
gonna lie. I mean, so a little bit about me. You know, I don't really get into my story a lot, but because I was in this space, I was a mid-level executive working my little tax business part-time. I'm not gonna call it little, but I had several hundred clients, right?
Sure.
So, like you said, $500-$600 a pop, making my good 6 figures in my job, making good 6 figures in the business, but I got stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, well, how do I either grow this business or how do I move up more in my job? And I was working, you
Yeah.
know, good Merrill Lynch and all the good old boy companies, but I was just stuck in both places and didn't have the time, really. I already have a couple hundred clients. Like, even at 200 clients, it was stressful.
Right.
You know, so in order for me to make more money in this business, I have to work more clients. So that's when I decided to start learning about tax planning and stuff like that. But I was that person where I was just stuck. It was comfortable and it was cool. But then I got to the point, but it took me like 5 years, because I ain't gonna lie, like 6 figures in 4 months with the tax business.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh yeah. No.
And then I was in my
comfortable.
20s.
Oh, yeah.
I was traveling. I was working. You know, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
To be honest. So that's why I love to introduce people to this space. But you get stuck. So how do you get unstuck and get to this next level?
So the next level is what I call entrepreneur. So now you're actually an entrepreneur based on the way I see things, right? That's when you're making between 250 to 500,000. 250, you're an entrepreneur in that stage, because then you can start hiring employees. So
Yep.
in my opinion, I don't think if you're making less than 250, you need to figure out how to increase your prices.
You gotta grind.
You gotta grind, right? You gotta make it work until you really, really have a business. In my opinion, 250 is where you actually have a business.
And
So
that's when you should hire your first employee.
that's when you can go ahead and hire your first employee in
Gotcha.
your business and become that business owner, right? So we talked about the 4 ways. You're basically, before that point, you're still self-employed. But then now you're a business owner where you can actually bring on people, hire people. Because if you try to do that before then, you're not going to be very profitable, and then you're basically it's basically going to ruin your perception of having an employee. You're like, oh, there's just a cost or whatever the case is, but when you're at 250 level, you're going to start seeing them making money for you, right?
Gotcha.
So 250 to 500, then you're on the entrepreneur level, and then you're at the elite status. 500 plus is when you're at that elite status. That's the level that I think that everyone needs to aspire, if you're an accounting and tax profession, aspire to get to. I've been there, done that millions of times over, and helped other people do the same.
Right.
And that's when you really have a really good, solid business. You could bring on 2 to 3 employees. You could step away from the business, have them run the business for you, and basically your role is really just getting more clients in marketing, right?
Right.
You maybe even have salespeople at that point.
Yep. So what does a $500,000 per year accounting firm look like?
Yep.
Like service-wise, team-wise, what does that look like for someone that's trying to grow to that point?
Yeah, so really at that point you could bring on employees to that space. You could have between 2 to 3 employees. You really don't have to bring on that many employees. Let's say at 500, right? Because then once the elite, elite still $1 million, 5 million, 10 million, right? But let's start with the first level, which is 500,000. 500, you could probably bring on 2 to 3 employees at that level. At that level, bringing in that kind of money, the way I like to do it, working part-time, right, is where you're providing high-level services such as tax planning, or what I call outsourced CFO services. So that's basically, as an outsourced CFO, you have people who are bookkeepers or whatever the case is, but a lot of people perceive bookkeepers as low cost, basically a cost. And basically, typically bookkeepers make $100 to $300 per client, right? But as an outsourced CFO, you're coming in there really as almost like a business partner, as an advocate for your client, and helping them identify ways for them to increase profit, decrease expenses, increase their increase their profit, increase revenue, et cetera, coming in more as an advisor, right?
Yep.
And they're willing to pay you more for that, right? Minimum 500, really, I think 1,000 is a really good place to start with that per month.
For CFO?
For outsourced CFO.
Okay, that's low.
To be able to
I would
do
never
that.
tell somebody that. That's a lot.
But
it takes you away. That's $500 a month.
Yeah.
So now you're at $6,000 per client versus your $500 for the year on one annual tax return.
Exactly.
So I get it.
Yeah. So and you do the math. Think about it, right? So let's say you want to make $1 million in your tax prep business, right? $500 per client, but you're working with 2,000 people.
Right.
That's 2,000 relationships,
Woo.
2,000 emails, 2,000 everything, right?
If they all send you one.
Yeah.
If they send you one communication.
Right, exactly.
Now imagine
right?
them sending you 3 and 4
3
emails.
and 4, and then 3 years later, just like, hey, by the way, I got this letter from the IRS, like a headache, right? Miserable.
Right.
But versus this model allows you to, let's say, just work with 200 people at $5,000, right? And then that's a whole different, that's a game changer right there, right?
Absolutely.
Because now you're working with less people and you're actually able to provide
200
more
people at $5,000. Isn't that $1 million? That's
Yeah.
$1 million business.
There you go.
There you go.
Boom. That's that easy. And literally, and think about, and breaking down the math, right? That's literally, you break down the math, that's literally about 20 clients per month. You know what I mean? To be able to get in, like, you could literally have $1 million business with just like getting 20 people a month into your business, right?
Wow.
And the beautiful thing is, again, you're providing transformational services. So typically as accountants, we provide more transactional type services, right?
Yep.
People just paying you money, you go ahead and do the work. Oh, I got to do taxes this year. Oh, I got to do taxes this year. Boom. Versus you're doing helping someone with tax planning, right? Helping them save $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 in taxes possibly, right? They're going to be loving you.
Let's dig into tax planning. So what is tax planning? What does it look like? What does it cost? What does it do for people? Why do I need tax planning? This week's episode is sponsored by ABCs for Rich Kids by 7-year-old author and entrepreneur Bryce Nicholas. Please tell us where we can find your book.
ABCsforRichKids.com.
Awesome. This book is so amazing, guys. It literally goes from A to Z with different financial terms for your little loved ones. Awesome. So we've got F is for future value. E is for evaluation. H is for air. Guys, if you do not have this book, the Amazon #1 bestseller, please go and grab it now at abcsforrichkids.com.
Listen, tax planning. So I'll break this down, right? So a lot of people don't realize this. When it comes to expenses in your life, right? You have all these different kinds of expenses. You got student loan debt, you got car payments, you have your mortgage, children, right? All these different things that you have going on. But when you really look at it, taxes are literally your single largest expense, right? So think about this. When you make money, you pay income tax. When you buy something, you pay sales tax.
Okay.
When you purchase property, you pay property tax. When you sell the property for more than what you pay for it, you pay capital gains tax. When you die, right, you're paying death tax or estate tax, as the IRS calls it.
Right. There's more?
There's a lot more.
Oh my
Those
gosh.
I'm just giving the 5 big categories. But
Right.
there's a lot more, right? But just those 5 alone.
Right.
Without any proper tax plan, without any strategy, without even understanding the tax code, that's literally over 50% of your income. Boom, right away. 50% of your life, the money that you're making, you're giving it to Uncle Sam. You're basically an employee for Uncle Sam.
Wow.
A lot of people think they're self-employed, they're doing their thing. Nah, you're working for the government.
Wow.
You make that money giving it to the government. So, with all those taxes combined, right, there's an even bigger tax, more than 50%, even bigger tax than that. And I call it ignorance tax. Ignorance tax. That's what's gonna get you.
Right.
A lot of people think it's all these different things, but the ignorance tax is what gets you. When I say ignorance, I don't mean that in a rude or condescending way.
Yeah.
Ignorance just means a lack of knowledge, lack of information, right? Even the scripture says, my people perish due to a lack of knowledge, lack of
Absolutely.
information.
Yep.
So that's what's really killing people, is not having that information. And ignorance tax is literally the biggest expense, because think about this, right? All the time, like one of the things I noticed, I've literally worked with thousands of people, and 99% of business owners are overpaying in taxes. They're paying more taxes than they need to, right? They're not aware of ways you can maximize your deductions. They're not aware of ways that you can structure your entity. They're not aware of retirement, insurance, all these different things that are out there to benefit you as a business owner, right? The tax code is geared towards helping business owners and investors, like I talked about, the cash flow quadrant. It really is there to incentivize you to get into business because as a business owner, you're making more money. You're able to give the government more taxes. You're able to hire people. If you're an investor, especially a real estate investor, you're providing housing. So you're helping out the government. So they're going to like, you know what? You're going ahead and doing this first instead of having to pay people unemployment and doing all these other things and all these other programs. We're going to give you a little break, right?
Right.
Because they basically feel like you're doing your fair share helping out the government, right?
So it's pretty much the cheat code.
It's the cheat code. It's literally the cheat code. And not only that, it's the cheat code to build wealth, right? Because becoming a business owner, being an investor, it literally is the blueprint to how to build wealth for yourself and your family, right? One of the ways you could do that is by maximizing deductions, right? So deduction is basically what people call a tax write-off. There's different things that you can go ahead and write off, but there's 4 requirements in order to write things off for your business, right? And I call those tax-free. So I'm really big on acronyms and mnemonics and stuff like that because when I was studying for the CPA exam, I had to memorize a lot of things, right? To go take that exam.
Yeah.
So the first part of that free is F. So it needs to be for your trade, business, or profession.
Okay.
So basically, as a business owner, if you're spending money for your business, then you can go ahead and essentially write that off, right? There's different rules and other things that apply to it, but for your business, trade, or profession, boom, that's number 1. Number 2 is R, regular. So it needs to be considered regular for your business. The IRS calls that ordinary. So what's regular for one business not going to be regular for another business. I have a friend, she owns an ice cream shop. She could write off ice cream cones. She could write off refrigerators. She could write off spoons, right? If I go ahead and try to write that stuff off for my business, I'm about to go to jail. You feel me? So guess who's going to jail tonight? Like, so it needs to be regular for your business, right? Third part of that is E, essential. So what's going to be essential in order for you to operate your business? The IRS calls that necessary. Essential is going to be things like rent, utilities, employees, all considered essential for your business. And last but not least, economical, right? So it needs to be economical for your business. The IRS calls that not lavish or extravagant. Under the circumstances. It's a very vague word. Under the circumstances, what does that mean? So it depends on how much, really what it comes down to is how much money you're making in the business, right? So one of the things that you could do in your business is being able to write off the G-Wagon, right? I always talk about, you see me hop out the G-Wagon, talk about writing off vehicles. So that's one thing that you can do in your business, but it depends on that last E, economical, right? So your business needs to be making substantially more than that, right? So if your business is only making $50,000, you can't write off a $100,000 vehicle, right? That's crazy. You're crazy. You can't do that, right? Even with business credit,
right?
You can't do.
So let's debunk. Yes. Let's debunk that viral post I've seen all around social media and Twitter and Instagram of I'm gonna go and get me a G-Wagon. Who can actually legally, ethically, go and purchase a G-Wagon and 100% write it off on their business? Like, what does that business owner look like?
Yeah, so I would say $1 million is a safe number.
Okay.
In that case, some people may push and may say $500,000. I'm gonna say $1 million because, again, you don't want it to be a significant part of your business, right?
Yeah.
So it can't be like over 50%. That's a little bit crazy to me. I think $1 million is safe.
Yeah.
$1 million plus when you're writing off those types of vehicles. Not to say you can't do it. Some people try to do it. They push it. But again, just know that you're going to open yourself to an audit, right? The IRS is going to be like, hold on. I get you can afford it. I understand you made $200, but like really 50% of your income is going to this because they understand it's also going to be a deduction because you write it off, and a write-off again is just a reduction in your taxable income. So let's say you go ahead and make $200,000. You buy a vehicle for $100,000. Now, well, let me switch up the numbers. Let's say you make $300,000 in your business. Buy a vehicle for $100,000. Now your taxable income is $200,000, right? Let's say your tax rate, just to keep it simple, is 50%. Then you're paying $100,000 in taxes versus $300 you're paying 50% on that. The $300 with no deductions. Now you're paying $150, right? So it gives you about a $50,000 tax savings with that strategy, right?
Right.
So you want to make sure that your business is making a good amount of money in order to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Essentially, what that is.
Right.
You want to make it make sense, and then also that goes along with all the other different types of write-offs for your business, right? Let's say you can't write off a vehicle fully, right? And basically you're using Section 179 and bonus depreciation. Depreciation is just basically one of the dope things about depreciation is that it allows you to be able to expense things and not even have to spend the money on it, right?
Right.
So let's say it's really based on the purchase price. So let's say you only put down $10,000 or 10% or whatever the case, and 10, 20%. It's not based on how much you put down. It's based on the purchase price, right? Because in business terms, your vehicle is essentially an asset. You can't depreciate a non-asset. So a vehicle is an asset in your business, so you're able to write that off. And then there's the opportunity to be able to write off the full amount. You could write off over different years. You could write off there's what's called depreciation table, where the first year you're able to write off $18,100. So you can write off about $16,000. Third year you can write off about $7,000. It's just a sliding scale, right? So that's another way you can do it, right? If you can't fully write off $100,000 within that year, right? But you want to make sure you talk to a professional about that,
right?
How to do that, how to work it. Another type of deduction that a lot of people could take advantage of is being able to pay your children through the business, right? So paying your children through business, amazing write-off, right? A lot of us have kids. I just got my little baby girl, my little princess. Thank you. I'm a girl dad. You feel me? So, just got my little baby. So, one thing
is she on payroll already? Because I know she only a couple months.
Man, listen. Let's talk about it. All right. So check this out. So as it relates to paying your children through the business, you can pay them up to the standard deduction amount.
Okay.
That's $12,950 as of this year. And it depends on their age, and it depends on what they're doing for the business. All right. So I'm going to go based on what the IRS, based on court cases, right? So based on previous court cases, there's a court case where some parents paid their 7-year-old through the business, and the IRS let that slide. So I always say 7 years old and older to do that. Some people do it younger. Some people say their kids are a model. They just say all these different things. You can go ahead and you could try it, but I'm just going based on the IRS court case, which says where they allowed a 7-year-old. So it's based on, so IRS, the tax code is basically law, right?
Yeah.
So looking at past court cases, so if you get audited or if they question or whatever the case is, they're going to look at the past court cases, what was the ruling, and that's how they're going to go ahead and make a decision on it. But let's start at age 7. At 7, you basically want to figure out what they can do for the business. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. They can clean up the office for you. They can do packages for you, right? I got books. I have to ship them out. Have my little one go ahead and pack the books, put the labels on it, and then go ahead and send that out, right?
Right.
So, and then you want to make sure it's based on, you want to give them a job description so they're providing legitimate services for your business. You want to go ahead and give them a W-2, even though they don't have to pay taxes on it, but that's basically the best practice to go ahead and do that. You also want to record their hours, so you're tracking their hours as well. And then what the great thing about it is, on top of paying them, you get a deduction for your business, right? And depending on the age and what kind of service they're doing, you may not necessarily be able to deduct the whole amount, right? $12,950. For a 7-year-old, it might be closer to maybe $5,000, maybe $1,000, whatever the case is. Depends on what they're doing. Mm-hmm. As they get older, like a 17-year-old, it's easy to find ways to make them to be able to pay out that full amount. So anyways, because now they have earned income, now they're able to put that money into a retirement account, right? So another requirement is that they do need to have their own bank account in order to do this, right? So they want to see that transfer from your business bank account to their bank account. But then now they have earned income, so they can put that money into a retirement account, right? Let's say, for instance, like a Roth account, right? They go ahead and put that. Yes, they go ahead and put that money into the Roth, you know what I'm saying? And you go ahead and let that grow. Let's say by the time they're 18 years old, they can literally have over 6 figures in their retirement account by the time they're 18. And the dope thing about the Roth is after tax. So they're able to use that money for other ways as well. So if you wanted to use it to pay for college or whatever the case is, you could use that, not the growth, but the contributions to it. So yeah, that's a little well packaged.
So he just said a lot, y'all.
Yes.
And when you're passionate about this stuff, you just, what you call it, vomit.
You just throw up.
Right. Verbal throw up. He just threw up all over y'all with $1 million worth of game.
That's a fact.
So I love that because we actually do that for my son. And what I found out is it's only like $750 a month. So if you pay your child $1,000 a month, that ends up being $12,000 for the year. Mm-hmm. So, $1,000 a month divided by 4 weeks is $250 a week.
Right.
If you, even at, I don't know what the minimum wage is nowadays, but let's just say even at $10 an hour, at $250 a week, that's 25 hours a week. Right?
Yeah.
But we ain't got to pay our kids minimum wage. We can pay them a little better than minimum wage. That is the benefit of being the owner, being the boss. And like you said, you open up that Roth IRA and get investing. So a lot of people, I saw something trending, and it was about, okay, now I opened my investment account, I put money in here, and I thought I was doing something. The next step is that you have to invest the money.
Yes.
So we are not, this is not financial advice, this is not tax advice, but what we're doing for my son is we put his money into his account every single month, and I just put it in mutual funds, right? So I don't need an investment advisor, I don't need a financial advisor, you don't have to pay anyone to do this. There are super smart people that have to, it's their full-time job to go and put together these funds.
Yeah.
And ETFs or mutual funds, you can just put money in. It's super simple, super easy. And then, you're literally building wealth for your children. And like you said, if you put it in a Roth account, that's tax-free. So, like you've literally given them $1 million worth of game. This is how you turn your child into a millionaire.
That's a fact.
I love it.
And listen, I think we need to do a better job of having more Black or whatever the case is, more trust fund babies, right? I remember growing up, they used to clown on people for being a trust fund baby. Listen, if I had 100,000 when I was 18,
let me tell you something. I went to a private school for high school. I went to public school my entire life, and then for high school, I was in like the gifted program, and then went to private school. I was the only Black person in my graduating class. When I tell you these girls, it was an all-girls school as well. So these girls, we were in junior year, senior year of high school. They pulling up in their BMWs, their Benzes, and they already have jobs before they even finish high school.
Right.
They're going into internships at high school. Typically, we're going into internships at college, right?
Right.
But this is how you give your children the head start that we need and that we deserve and that our ancestors have fought for. So, y'all, $1 million worth of game.
Yeah, no, I love it, and that's what's so important about it is like, being able to pass it on, and literally, again, like you said, it's really not that much money you have to pay them, and not only that, there's so many benefits. You're getting the deduction, you're basically increasing their wealth, they're getting business experience, so they're understanding what mommy and daddy are doing, right? So you're able to educate them on financial literacy as well. So this is how you save the money, this is what you need to do with the money, etc. And like you said, with that mutual fund, right? You could do something as simple as like the S&P 500, right? Index fund, right? Which on average has between 10 to 12% annual rate of return over the past 100 years. That's what it's been.
Right.
And it's not about trying to find the best stock or whatever the case is. Literally duplicating the stock market.
Yeah, don't make it hard.
Yeah, don't
really,
complicate it. It goes up.
the path to wealth is easy and boring. But we want to make it so difficult. Like, we want to make it sounds, and not even we, I think it's the, first of all, we're business. Our ignorance is big business to big companies. So they want to make it seem like it's so hard for us to invest, so hard that we can't manage our own money, that we have to just go put our money in the bank, right? But this play that he gave you right here, like you can literally do at home. You can open up your child's brokerage account or custodial account and literally just transfer the money from their bank account into their brokerage account. That's what we do every month. And one more thing that we do is, I'm not trying to teach my children about like individual stock ownership, but whenever he asks me for something, so he knows he has money. That's the thing. I have a 7-year-old, y'all. And he's at the point where he knows about money. He knows it takes money to buy things. He has a debit card. And so he like, well, how can I get some more money? So whenever he asks me to buy something, I'm like, okay, well, what company creates that product? So recently he asked me, he wanted the PS4. So he's got cousins and stuff. He's been playing on the game and he wanted a PS4. Said, well, what company makes PS4? And I guess it's Nintendo, I don't know, whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, it's Nintendo. Let's look at Nintendo stock. How much is Nintendo stock? So we look up, he asked Siri, because y'all know he's 7. He can't spell Nintendo. He doesn't know how to spell stock, right? So he literally asked Siri, hey, Siri, who owns, PS4, or who owns Nintendo, or what's the Nintendo stock price? Pulls up the stock price. Okay, cool. Let's look at the price of the stock. Let's look at the price of the PS4.
Right.
And I say, okay, well, you want to buy this PS4, you're going to have to buy as many shares in stock as the PS4. And that's kind of like our deal. And then he also has to earn the money. So, he has his book where we go and sell. So I'm like, okay, well, your PS4 is $500. Your book is $25. How many books do you need to sell? So then now we have a goal, right?
That.
So now your goal is that you need to sell 20 books in order to get your PS4. But now you need 40 books because you got to get the same amount in stock too. So this is how we creating rich kids over here.
Yes, let's do it.
I know the princess is gonna be a beast too. But yes, do you have any more gems you want to drop for the people?
On taxes or just in general?
On taxes, on business.
Yeah, I'll give you
whatever.
I'll give you one more tax play real quick.
Perfect.
And then we'll talk about some other things as relates to accounting and tax professionals, or whatever the case is, right? So another thing that you can do as it relates to taxes, right, is a strategy called like the Augusta strategy, right? So the Augusta strategy, it's named after the Augusta golf tournament, right? So in Augusta, Georgia, they had the Masters golf tournament. And one of the things that they did, and this doesn't apply to everybody, all right? So disclaimer, all right? So big disclaimer. This don't apply to everybody, all right? So this is for those who have the money and are looking for additional ways that you could do it. It's basically a tax loophole, so don't abuse it. Don't go crazy with it. Basically, so you can, one of the things that the IRS allows you to do, right? This applies to pretty much everybody. You can rent out your home for up to 14 days without having to pay taxes on it, right? So that's one thing that you're able to do. Another thing that you're able to do, right, because of that, if you're a business owner, you actually could rent out your home to your business for up to 14 days. Basically, you still need to claim that income, but you don't have to pay taxes on that income, right? So it's basically a deduction from the business, going to your household, right? So basically, you're cutting a check from your business to your household, right? And that could be a pretty big tax saving. Literally, let's say your business rented out your home for did a day rate for $1,000, right? You did that 14 times during the year. A practical reason why you do that is having a board meeting. So you need to have a board meeting with yourself anyways as a business owner. Let's say you do that 14 times out of the year. That's a $14,000 deduction. Boom. And it's basically, a really crazy strategy that some people could utilize, right? Again, not for everybody, but that's really understanding how the tax code, like when I start learning about these, and that's just like a low-level strategy too. Once I start learning about all these different things, I'm just like, wow. Yeah. It's crazy. You see why the rich keep getting richer and the wealthy keep moving on and excel, because they're literally doing these different things and moving money around, shifting money around, looking at the tax codes, like how can I go ahead and maneuver, right?
Yeah. I mean, because you have two options when you spend money. You can either expense it or invest it, right? So the Augusta strategy allows you to take money from your business and invest it back into your home.
There it is.
I love
crazy.
It. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And again, making sure that you talk to a tax professional, making sure you understand how to do it. There's a whole different. That's a short, simple way of doing it. There's a whole bunch of requirements. You need a contract.
Absolutely.
You need to make it all the way legitimate.
You need receipts, all of those things.
But again, once you figure it out, then again, that's another crazy play. That
$14,000 in your household.
Easy.
Bam. Right. I love it. Awesome. So please tell the people where they can find you.
Yes.
If you have one last word for tax professionals, right? Because I see so often, number one, I love what you do because you are representing 1%. Like, do you know how major that is? You're representing 1% of an entire industry. I have 1% of that industry here, right? And I think it's really important for people to understand your journey that you've been through, going the corporate route into entrepreneurship and, just really finding your way and understanding that you can go the professional route and still build the life that you want, right? So please tell people, if they're in the accounting space or want to go into the accounting space, leave them with some information or some inspiration that can help them along their journey.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And also I want to thank you and give you your flowers for the opportunity to be able to be honored at the Black Wealth Awards.
Absolutely.
That was amazing. And, just really an honor to be able to do that. I've been in the industry for years. We've been knowing each other for years. And, I'm really happy that I finally figured out how to do this. And now I'm sharing this information, right? As part of my acceptance speech, I shared that I really want to inspire and help 1 million accountants being able to grow to that elite level, right? Being able to finally be able to leave their 9 to 5 if that's something that they desire to do, and being able to have the freedom to be able to work where they want to, and really be able to provide transformational services to their clients, right? And going back to statistics, I'm really big on statistics because it's interesting, right? Less than 1% of black CPAs are black, right? But not only that, right? Less than 50 or around 50% of business owners make even 100,000 in their business, 6 figures, right? And then we talk about 400,000, right? That's like less than 10% that do that, right? So we have someone who's been able to do all those things and more. You know what I mean? It's like literally, that's why I like to call myself top 2, not 2. You feel me? Because but I say that, and it may sound arrogant or whatever the case is, but I have to look back at my life and see like what I've been able to accomplish and what I've been able to do.
Absolutely.
And literally forget about all the statistics. Like, this is what I desire. This is what I'm going for.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? God made a way and I figured out how to do it, and I want to be able to pass that on, right? So now I'm mentoring, and I have a mastermind where I'm helping literally accounting and tax professionals literally go from that 0 to 500,000, whatever the number it is, or at least getting them through those steps, whether if you're at the executive level, or executive level, executive level, entrepreneur level, elite level, helping you literally do that, right? So giving you the blueprint on what I did, right, to be able to hit that elite level plus, right? But not only that, not only how I did it, but how I helped other people do it, right?
Right.
So I was able to help a CPA. Cofield is he's killing the game, super dope. Coach Carter, King Carter, right, killing the game. I literally, when I met him, he had like 10,000 followers. Helped him, literally gave him the plan and the strategy to be able to grow to over 100,000, right? But it's not only followers, right? Followers is cool, that's cute, you know what I'm saying? It's one thing to say, I got 100,000 followers, but do those followers translate to dollars, right?
Right.
And what he was able to do, right, is now have multiple 6-figure months, right? Because of that, right? He was able to take that following, that brand, and now be able to leverage it, right? Based on some of these strategies that I'm sharing with people.
Gotcha.
Another one of my mentees, literally within 30 days, first client ever, she's working a corporate job. First client made $18,500. Literally less than 30 days. First client.
Wow.
Right, and I have a whole bunch of other stories, right, where I've been able to literally coach people and walk them through this process. Another individual, right? This is crazy, right? This guy, one of my first clients that I helped, he wasn't even an accounting major. He didn't even have an accounting background, right? This man was literally in marketing. He went to school for marketing. Went to school for marketing, had an apparel company where he's creating like t-shirts and stuff for colleges or whatever the case was. His dad owned a tax business, and his dad passed away, unfortunately, but he wanted to carry on his dad's legacy and get into taxes and help people save money on taxes, right?
Right.
I literally coached him to where, he went ahead and he was able to create a 6-figure tax business without any accounting or tax background, right?
Wow.
Not saying that that's
normal,
right? Yeah. But it's possible, right? A lot of times, and the reason why I share that story is not to tell everyone to get into the space, but I share that story because what accounting and tax professionals use, and I'm guilty of it, right? We feel like we need to learn more accounting information, more tax information. We get really deep on the technical things, right? But the client doesn't care about that. They care about what's the result that you can get from me, right? And if you're able to communicate that and deliver on it, right? We're really problem solvers, right? And we spend so much time thinking like, oh, okay, I need to become a CPA, or I need to become an enrolled agent, or I have to take another test, or I got to go back to school, I got to get an MBA, I got to do all these different things.
Yep.
Not understanding that, listen, the way that you learn is by actually helping real people, having a real conversation, right? I learned a lot of things in accounting and tax when I was in school, literally the top accounting school in the world, but 90% of the stuff that I help people with is stuff that I learned outside of school. By talking to real people, understanding the situations, having that experience where I didn't know how to help someone in taxes. And a lot of people are afraid of failure, right? They're afraid of making mistakes. What if the client gets upset with me? What if they complain about? Like, that is literally how you learn. Like, you basically fail your ways to success, right? As long as you're someone who has integrity, you're literally going to do whatever you can to help that client.
Right.
Then it's in your best interest and the client's best interest to go ahead, put yourself out there and, help. You know what I mean? If I would have let that experience, deter me or stop me from getting into the space, right? I wouldn't have been able to create the business that I've been able to do and literally help, a whole bunch of other accountants as well. So I have Elite Firm Pros is the name of the program. So Elite, so the goal is to get you that elite status, having that elite firm. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, it's a growing movement, it's a growing community. I'm super excited about it.
I love it.
And yeah, people
You're gonna change lives.
Yeah, that's
already changing lives. Are gonna change more lives.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I realized is especially by having a daughter, is like at this point, what I'm saying, like I said, I feel like I'm the young OG. I made a lot of money in the accounting and tax space. I'm going to still continue to do that. But really, I'm thinking more about legacy now, right?
Yep.
And how do I want to be remembered? I want to be remembered as the guy that told you how to be able to write off a G-Wagon, or being able to turn your lifestyle into a tax write-off, which is cool, right? It's good to get that information out there. But really, for me, I want to be in a position to where I put other people in position, create other leaders in this space, where more people are speaking, more people are doing podcasts, more people are educating, right? Getting this message out there. Because I think what we do is so important, right? In my opinion, I think we probably have one of the most important jobs and professions, right? We're literally helping people solve their biggest pain point, which is accounting and tax. People hate talking about it, right?
Yep.
But we're helping them do this, and now we're able to transfer. Because I'll tell you what, again, me having the background and prestige that I have, right? And I didn't know how to help someone save money in taxes. With all the education, all the information, like, are people like...
And you were doing free taxes.
Yeah. People are really, really confused and don't understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So by now, having this Elite Firm Pro family, it's literally a family. We collaborate. It's about collaboration over competition.
Absolutely.
You already know this, I have more of a collaborative spirit. When we first met, we met each other at an event conference. We talked, we met each other, we found synergies, we made a lot of money together, you know what I mean?
Listen.
And I've done it with other people. You see me on podcasts, one of my homies, Shanae, we did the table with Anthony O'Neill together. Like, yes. I'm always, yeah, that's the homie, right?
Yeah.
But I'm always looking to, again, Cofield, I saw him, he was doing his thing. I was just like, bro, you need to go ahead and do these couple of tweaks.
Yeah.
Going crazy.
Absolutely.
Killing the game.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what it's about, and I'm looking to do that for more people. Yeah, so elitefirmpros.com. I have a free masterclass. And go ahead and tap in, and then, just get some free information. Literally, I'm giving out crazy game, literally going from A to Z on how I was able to do it, and that's what we got.
I love it. I love it. So, what we didn't tell the people, well, we hinted at it, that you're a rapper.
Yes.
You gonna drop some bars for us?
I got a couple, little couple of task bars. So one of the things I forgot to mention in my story is that I really want to be a rapper, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why that is, obviously, growing up in a single parent household or whatever the case was, the lyrics, really resonated with me. I grew up in a single parent home. I grew up visiting my dad in jail. I grew up on Spam and mayonnaise sandwiches and quarter water, all the Kool-Aid, all of that, right? So the messages of the music was very inspirational. It was just like, yo, someone that's been in my situation, I could relate to it. So, and also too, I didn't see anyone that looked like me, you know what I mean, in accounting or tax. All I saw was rappers, athletes, drug dealers. Like, that's how people were making money, right?
Yeah.
That looked like me. So ended up getting to accounting, whatever the case is, but still decided to tap back into my passion. Once I got...
When you make enough money, you can do what you want.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I realized, this is the dope thing too, what I realized is, what's so inspirational is, like, once you make that money, you can literally do what you want. Like,
yeah.
I paid studio time, whole music video, all these different things, right, that I'm able to do and be able to still tap into one of my early passions, right? Which is rapping. So I did a joint called the 10 Tax Commandments, based on Biggie's 10 Crack Commandments, inspired by the late and great B.I.G. So I'm going to hit it a cappella real quick, so check this out.
Let's do it.
Yo, I've been in the game for years. It made me an animal. There's rules to this code. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track. The feds off your back. Rule number uno. Let the IRS know how much dough you hold, because evasion breeds penalties, especially if that prep messed up. Watch your tax go up. Number 2, document expenses you can prove. Don't you know them boys treat lying like violence taken from your highness? I done seen mad cats and chicks come for their schemes and tricks. Number 3, go form an LLC, a lawyer set that up, properly draft up, Dina in the state up, yep, for them big bucks, they'll get the paperwork cleaned up, word up. Number 4, I know you heard this before, always rely on your CPA guy. Number 5, never tax prep where you rest at. I don't care if they do it free, tell them leave. Number 6, that's tax advance credit, dead it. You think they doing you a favor, don't forget it. 7, this rule is so underrated, keep your personal and business completely separated. Business and blood don't mix like politics with no tricks. Find your business serious risk. Number 8, know the date your taxes due. If you miss a deadline, they'll be coming for you. Number 9 should have been number 1 to me. If you start a business, stay away from hobbies. If they're thinking it's a hobby, they ain't trying to listen. You be stressing in the kitchen when them letters start hitting. Number 10, a strong word corporation, strictly for bizmen, not for freshmen. If you ain't got investors, then say hell no, because they gonna want your money, rain, sleet, hell, snow. Yo, follow these rules. They have mad bread to break up. If not, 24 years on the wake up. Flow, hit your tempo, watch your brain shake up. Caretaker, did you make up? When you pass, my bad. I hope you wake up. A lot of cash with beachfront in Jamaica with the Michelin star chef, the hooker steak up. Gotta go, more returns to make up. Word up, Tax King.
Hey,
yes,
and
sir.
That, family, is this week's episode of Black Wealth Weekly. I'm your host, Shaniqua Nicole, the Millennial Money Maven, and y'all just got blessed by my brother, King Michel Valbrun. Top 2, but not 2.
Hey, that's a fact. One more time, and before I forget, make sure you guys tap in, follow me. It is going to be at michelvalbrun.com, so MICHELVALBRUN. I'm on all social media platforms, most active on Instagram. That's where you can find out about me. I'm always giving out free games, free gems, and content as it relates to tax savings and helping you save money on taxes and increase your wealth. So you can go ahead and do that. EliteFirmPros.com if you're interested in growing and scaling your accounting business to elite levels. So EliteFirmPros.com. You can go ahead and tap in. And then also make sure you go ahead and text free to 404-737-1475. I have a free gift for you. Literally a free ebook giving you plays on ways you can save money on taxes. I have over 200 deductions that you can go ahead and get as being a listener to this podcast. So free at 404-737-1475. Let's get it.
And that's it, family. Catch y'all next week.
Peace.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Black Wealth Weekly. I'm your host, Shaniqua Nicole, and I hope to see you next week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on them notifications, and head to blackwealthweekly.com where you can read all the new episodes of these entrepreneurs and so many others.